Hey everybody. So I'm not actually the original reader of this story. The original reader of this story is an awesome, awesome person, and her name is Kira Black. So I want to give a shout out to her. She did a really good job on this. And the reason she wasn't able to read it is, well, anyway. I just want to dedicate this story next to a really good friend of mine who a lot of people might know in this room, and her name is Alice Also. There's some things you do your best to forget. You push them deep into the back of your mind, and then they eventually work themselves free, and then you're stuck with them rattling around and tainting your usual sense of normalcy. Some people get hung up on an ex-lover. Other people can't ever forget a game-winning shot that falls flat or a piece of financial information they failed to act upon. Happens to all of us. For me, today it happened at the train station in New York. Just as a train came barreling past, I thought of him. The kid was in high school. He was dealing with high school things. Bad grades, bad complexion, bad friends, bad home life. But when you're young, you don't see how things can change. Maybe you blossom in college, maybe you meet someone special that reassures you that you're loved, that you matter. Instead, youth, with its infinite possibilities, tends to get trapped in the immediate present. Years fly by when you're 60. Just a couple of months can grind you into splinters when you're 17. It was spring. It was a nice morning. He should have been walking to school and thinking about the summer or trying to make plans to meet girls downtown. Instead, he went to the Burlington Northern train tracks. I have no idea if he even thought about what he was doing. No one ever will. Did he chicken out at the last minute a few times before? How many times had he watched an express train blaze past him before he knew today was his day? Did he realize the permanence? He stepped in front. Whatever it was that brought him to the tracks, it was over now. These things happen. They shouldn't, but they do. I've written up dozens of stories about people killing themselves. I've known a few friends who've taken their own lives, either on accident or on purpose. But this one was brutal. You see, his father worked for the railroad. It was his father's job to investigate all the train accidents. He was the first one on the scene from the railroad. I'm pretty sure he did not know that it was his son's body he'd be looking at until he got there. I know his son knew what would happen. He had to have been planned that way. It took me a while to figure out the connection. The last name was common, but the reaction from the other guys at the scene tipped me off that something unusual happened. I remember an older, heavy-set man with gin blossom nose and tears running down his face pulling me aside and telling me. The father was just sitting in the back of his white Ford Taurus, staring blankly out a window. When I got back to the office, I wrote the story two ways. The first version highlighted the connection to the railroad. The second one did not mention it. I went to lunch. I sat on it all day. I knew if I mentioned the father-son connection, they would want it high up in the story. It'd probably be in the second paragraph. Other papers would pick it up off the AP wire. The television guys would talk about it for days. People would want me to interview his family simply because some other asshole wanted to interview his family. You see this a lot. Tragedy hits, Victims are interviewed. Normally, private lives are made public. The media chase the story until they run out of painful, embarrassing details to keep a sick-minded public's attention. But I can't live that way. I don't see the point in piling on more misery when someone hits the lowest point they will ever see. So I never mentioned it to anyone. I'd not thought about it for years until today. I was simply standing there today at the Newark Airport train station, trying to catch a plane back to Houston and waiting for a phone call from a friend. Now, this is just rattling around again. It's bumped into most everything I've done today since that train thundered along. It'll fade again, but it will never really leave. These things have a way of popping back up. That's the end of the story, but I want to tell everybody that if this is you, if this sounds like you, even if you don't know me, talk to me. Thanks.